Every year at Thanksgiving, the Wall Street Journal publishes a moving account of the Pilgrim's journey to Plymouth Colony, which is based on the description of its governor at the time, William Bradford. The Pilgrims left a pleasant city with which they were familiar, knowing that they were strangers here below. Lifting up their eyes to heaven, their dearest country, they were guided and strengthened for the journey. They sobbed and said sad goodbyes to loved ones, knowing it was likely that they would never see them again. Having passed the vast ocean, all that lay before them was a desolate wilderness, with no friends to welcome them, houses to warm them, or ready food to refresh them. Which way soever they turned their eyes, save upward to heaven, so the account goes, they could have but little solace or content in respect of any outward object. For summer being ended, all things stand in appearance with a weather-beaten face, and the whole country full of woods and thickets represented a wild and savage hue. Sharing this story each Thanksgiving seems like a way of keeping the story in our living memory. This is your history. This is where you came from. Guided by faith, you can be well-directed and courageous too. Stories are a way of communicating what life's about, what gives it meaning, and how to live. They help us understand who we are and where we've come from, in general ways, since we share a common humanity, but also in specific ways, as with the Pilgrims. Stories help us to make sense of things and invite us to situate the individual story of our life within a larger narrative. Clearly this is what the Pilgrims did. They knew they were pilgrims and strangers here below, so they lifted up their eyes to heaven, their dearest country, where God hath prepared for them a city, and therein quieted their spirits. Apparently the larger narrative by which one lives has real-world effects, from your direction in life to stability and peace of your spirit. Apparently not all narratives are equal. Apparently they can compete and conflict with one another. But this comes out in the Pilgrims' flight from the state or the kingdom in which they lived, which was a contemporary manifestation of Daniel's vision, some of which we heard in our first reading. Daniel had seen 4 great beasts arise from the sea. Well, the sea is a symbol of chaos. The beasts, symbols of political kingdoms. The Ancient of Days, God, sat on the throne of judgment. He is the one who will one day set all things right. The beasts, well, they appear to prevail over the saints of the Most High God until he came and judgment was given and the saints received the kingdom. Their vindication mirrored that of the one presented to the Ancient One who looked like a son of man. Narratives compete and clash, and man must choose what he thinks is true. Such was the case with Pilate and Jesus, whose kingdom doesn't originate in the world, which is a symbol of evil and rebellion against God. That's why his attendants don't fight as Pilate's do. Christ's attendants cling to what is true. They listen to his voice as he tells the story of what life is about, what it means, and how to live well. They avoid the false narratives that reject him as the Alpha, the source, and the Omega, the point of our life story. They reject those false narratives of powers, political or other, that incoherently say, you can define what you are. For you You are actually the Alpha. You are the Omega. Resist the false narratives rooted as they are in the seas of chaos and parroted by political or societal beasts. Let's resist at this time by reclaiming the Christmas narrative. By selecting gifts with restraint and moderation, while focusing your family on the story of Jesus, which has clearly been lost more and more during our holidays. Forgo the falsities and the gift buying of unbelievers, which you see everywhere. Give the gift of peace of spirit to your loved ones, for which they will thank you during their pilgrimage in this life, desolate and wild as it can sometimes be.